Now it's time for us to have a conversation on the consumer tech segment this morning. Now, consumer tech segment this morning, we're going to be having a conversation about tech apps, that will assist women in their monthly cycle. All right, so menstrual health and all of that, and how does this relate to tech? I have one of my, should I say, friends from another time of my life. Yes. Ethel Kofi. She's right here, and she's going to be helping us to understand this. She is someone who is basically, I can say, a tech giant on her own. She may deny that, but let's welcome Ethel Kofi. Ethel, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Thank you for
the
kind words.
But you are a tech giant.
Thank you for the kind words.
So let's just talk broadly about the world of tech and female health, menstrual health. Yeah. I think it's a fascinating space, considering that half of the world, split right down the middle, are ladies, women, and men have no experience that relates to anything that women go through every month.
Yeah.
So talk to us a little bit about that and what technology is available.
All right. Well, okay, thank you very much for the invitation. The funny thing was, when we did the posters for this segment,
yes.
People said, oh, why would a professional woman go on TV to talk about menstrual periods?
Yeah.
And then I said, the funny thing
Are you serious?
The funny thing is, we forget that sometimes in professional environments, we think that menstrual health or women's health is almost a taboo subject.
Yeah.
And we don't talk about it.
Yeah.
But we forget that, again, 50% of the women that work with us, they are in our environment, and we need to understand these things.
Yeah, I think it's very important.
It's very important. In terms of, there's an area now we call Femtech, right?
Okay.
So we call female tech, Femtech, which is apps and products that are available specifically for women-related issues.
Okay.
Menstruation and menstrual apps are
part
almost
of that.
Yes, actually a very large, almost 50% of the Femtech apps that are built are basically for sort of ovulation tracking and for menstrual health. It just tells you it's a very big issue, big industry. I suspect that, a lot of women have multiple of these apps on their phones. I know I have about 3 or 4. At a point, I have 3 or 4 of these apps to just track the process.
Yeah.
Now, it does in sort of that space. There's a wide range. So again, we have the menstrual apps, the ovulation menstrual apps. We have the fertility apps, which are very close.
Okay.
Right? So a lot of women that are tracking one because they want to know dates and times, but also because a large number of women are actually trying to have babies, and so it's a way of tracking fertility. I'll give you an example. Would be an app like the Flow app, right? Flow app is if you can go to the Google Store or you go to the whatever it's called. Flow, yes, Flow app.
Flow, F-L-O.
Yes. Yeah. The good thing about it is if you it has a sort of AI component.
Okay.
So it has a chat part.
Okay.
So that
there's somebody on the back end you can speak with, or is a bot?
Yes, a bot at the end.
Okay.
So sometimes if there are inconsistencies, say you are late or whatever, it can at least walk you through the options. It also tracks things like body temperature, what do you call it, how you're feeling, so that it gives you a holistic view, right?
Wow.
Gives you a holistic view, not just the dates and this is when you ovulate, and this is when you have your period, and this is your fertile period, and this is your non-fertile period. It's taking a lot more data, and it's educating you. So one of the reasons why I love using it is just the health assistance and the health insights it gives.
Yeah.
It gives you options like, okay, what's happening here? What could possibly be the reasons for the issues you're having?
Yeah.
That's a good place to start. So if you're not using one, the Flow app, I've used it for years. I think it's a useful informational tool for women.
Before we go into anything else, is there anything about it that people need to take note of because it could you will get wrong data or wrong information? Is there anything peculiarities
Well,
about
the
it
thing
that?
with online and internet is there are two things. You have security, right? So
Okay.
one of the things I do personally is I don't create accounts on the systems, right?
Okay.
The bad side of that is, say if you lost your phone and you lost your phone, you could lose, say,
All the data that
all
you've-
the data that
okay.
you have. The other thing is you just have to learn to hide. If you want to hide the app, I'm too old to be worrying about hiding the app anymore. But if you want to hide the app, that might be because it's very glary. You can see the app is very glary.
Yeah.
So there are definitely, if any app, there are security concerns. But the thing is, if you put in the right data,
Okay.
right, you will get what you want. Actually, a couple of the other apps and names actually use data from, say, if you have an Apple Watch or a Garmin watch.
Oh.
So basal temperature,
it picks
BP,
all of those
those
from-
things can actually be picked from there to be
Okay.
able to help track your health.
Okay. So in that case, what would it do? How would that information then feed from your Apple Watch, for example,
Yeah.
to the app? How would that?
Right. So the way the Apple Store is built, it allows the apps to be able to take certain types of data. Again, it's a security thing. You can say, no, that data should not be taken.
Okay.
Yes, it should be taken.
Okay.
That's entirely up to you.
you.
But Apple allows and Android allows the apps to be able to take certain amounts of data from what it's collecting from, So once it takes that data, it can then input it into the system, and then it can give you insights and give you information on what's going on with you.
All right. What other app?
I'm sorry, I've
share?
got to remember all the names. So there's the calendar, I think the Pure Tracker, which is a more simplistic one. So if you're someone who just wants to know, so that maybe you have
the dates and times.
dates and times, and you have
Yeah.
an inconsistent period, it's really good for that, right? So you just have to remember to put in the dates. The good thing there is it can at least give you a prediction. With some women, the data, the number of days are not consistent. Some 23 days, 24 days, 25 days. And so it uses a little bit of algorithm at the back to predict. Normally, they are not wrong. From the apps I've used, it's not wrong. From our 3 to 7 days, you should
pretty accurate.
you should be pretty accurate.
But that's a wide berth, though. If you're looking at not getting pregnant, for example, 3 to 7 days is
No.
pretty
Okay,
dangerous.
So, no, I agree. In terms of when your period happens, in terms of ovulation
Yeah.
dates, again, common sense also has to come in. If you know that if you put data over a long period of
Yeah,
time, right?
then it's
So I
more
have
predictive.
apps that have 3-4 years of data.
Okay.
Which means that it's accurate. It's collected enough to be generally accurate. But I agree with you. Nothing is foolproof.
I see. No, but that's fascinating, though. So it means that women should have the mindset that it's not something that, it's a fly-by-night kind of thing. It's something you have to start and then be consistent and
Yes.
regular. And over the years, it becomes more and more accurate,
Yes.
as it gets more data.
The more data you have, the more the app that you're using can help you. It's the same with, if you look just around the spectrum of just women's reproductive health,
Yes,
it's the same with
yes.
pregnancy apps. The more data you put in, the more it can advise you and give you, better advice on what to do.
What other apps are there?
Okay. So I'm going to open up the white birthsuit. So in that space, so you now have, let's say you have your menstrual apps, then
Yes.
now you have your pregnancy apps. If you
Fantastic.
move,
Yes.
move into
Yeah.
the pregnancy space, you have your pregnancy apps. There are a number of apps. There's a baby. Because I actually have these apps on my phone. So that it's not like I'm just, there's What to Expect, which
Okay.
is a really good app, which gives you a weekly update on baby's growth, how the baby looks like, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
There's Baby Sparks, there's Glow Baby.
How effective is What to Expect? Have you ever used it yourself?
I've used the What to Expect. I
Okay.
think What to Expect is very helpful in letting you understand if you are you're expecting, what's happening to your body, right?
Okay.
So unfortunately, a lot of these apps, and we can talk about apps being built by Africans for our environment.
Yeah.
But a lot of these apps are built outside of the continent, so they say the child is the size of a pea. And you're like,
what
you
does
don't
that
eat
even
peas
mean?
here, right? So maybe that might be but at least it gives you insights outside of what your doctors might tell you. It gives you insights week by week. So this is what's happening. The baby's hair is growing, the baby is growing. The fingers are. At least through the process.
Yeah.
It's giving you information on what's going to happen, and I mean, the ones I've used have been fairly, fairly good. Yeah.
Now, something like that, just sort of talk to us, and I like the fact that you are actually, right in the pit of tech itself, and so you understand all the nitty-gritties of it. How important are these interventions compared to, let's say, 30 years ago, where you'll be looking at the only way you can get updates on what's happening in you is when you visited your gynae and the scan has been done. Then they'll say, okay, can you see this? Can you see that? And all of that.
No, it's game changing. So I'll give you an example. So about over 10 years ago, we worked with the Gates Foundation in building something similar, but it was not apps based. It was using SMS and USSD, and then regulated voice calls to reach mothers in the poorest parts of northern Ghana. Now, one of the things that we saw just in terms of the intervention was being able to supply that information to women meant that women went for more antenatal. So part of what we added was we would give them updates on, you are due for an antenatal this week. This is you should maybe consider taking folic acid and things like that. And we saw that in those interventions, it just meant that more women would go to the doctor for antenatal. More women would take nutrition advice, right? So it's such a game changer, especially in underserved areas. It's such a game changer because it provides information that sometimes people don't go. Just a case that a few weeks ago, as you said, the woman did not go to hospital till 5 months into her pregnancy.
Wow.
Right? And she had her reasons. But what I'm saying is sometimes to augment what our gynaes and doctors and these apps, especially the ones that are built locally, are very, very important.
Now, just talk to us a little bit about the Ghanaian space in terms of the uptake of some of this technology. Just generally what your experiences has been across the board as far as Femtech is concerned. And because I think that the issue of menstrual health is not just about the absence of illness per se during your cycle, but also just, mental well-being, social well-being, all of that. Talk to us about the uptake of...
I think, so we'll put it in two groups. I think that if you are, say, talking to a university-educated young woman or older woman, most likely they have one of the apps on their phone and the uptake they're using it. Now, when you get into maybe the more underserved areas, maybe somebody who's using a functional, a more non-smartphone, then that's where you're getting into a bit of a territory where people are not using as much, which is why the projects like Motech that are in northern Ghana, they use, again, they don't use smartphones, so you use SMS, use USSD. Those ones can reach, a woman that does not necessarily have a smartphone. So the uptake for, I think, a certain type of woman is high, but as we go on to the more underserved areas, people that do not use smartphones or don't necessarily have access to internet as such, then it drops off, which is why it's important, one, that we get more women developers actually building Femtech tools, right? Because you understand...
better than anybody else.
Better than anybody else, what's going on. And also you understand the environment.
The month of
at 30-40%.
Yeah.
And so you can't bank on it just being an app. You've got to look at ways to be able to reach women. Look, the one we did in Nottingham, sometimes we did voice recordings, right?
Okay.
So they would get a weekly call and it would play,
Okay.
you would play.
So a call will come through.
Yeah.
It's not any friend calling them. It's a machine,
It's a
that's
machine,
calling them,
yeah.
and will give them the information.
We'll give them the information
Wow.
they need. So it reaches
Pretty impressive.
the people that,
Yeah.
it needs to reach.
Yeah. In their language.
In their language, yeah.
Wow, wow. All right, so just to sort of wrap up the conversation, do we have also like apps that deal with the psychological side of things? Do you know any apps that would deal
Well,
with?
so in terms of
Or are those functions also embedded in some of these
yes,
apps?
so most of them will have most of these apps now have a community aspect of it,
Okay.
right? So there are mental health groups. I know the Period Tracker has that. There's mental health groups.
Okay.
So there are groups in there where you can chat and discuss with other women. Just state of mind, because again, mental health has become a huge
Major issue,
thing.
yeah.
But if you sort of you move on from that, there are actually dedicated mental health apps. A few, I'm blanking out now, but there are a few that are helpful for meditation. That will sort of enable you to, in a stressful environment,
Yeah.
if stressful environment will help you meditate. There are also just exercise apps, which is also good for your mental health. So there's Asana, Rebel.
Okay.
They're very specifically targeted towards women. So yoga, breathing, relaxation, that sort of thing that will
Okay.
help with mental health. But a lot of the apps have a segment of it embedded in it.
Okay. All right. So there are a lot of people, women watching at the moment. Femtech. How important is it for, you being an advocate of women getting into tech as it is, for, young women and not so young women to even jump on board, even if it is for the sake of a hobby or a second opportunity,
Right.
at a new career?
No, it's very important. Here's the thing. If we are going to find solutions that help support us, then we are going to have to be the ones that build it, right? And so for younger women and not so young women and people who want to move careers, whatever it is, just the fact that you understand the space and you know what the needs are, places you in a great place to even start out as a product manager. Then you can learn the technology. If you want to code, fair enough. There's so many things you can do in tech, right?
Okay.
You can start as a product manager is the customer advocate, the person who understands the customer, who advocates for this is what you should build, this is how it should be, this is how easy it should be. You start from that point, and then you can go into, hey, I want to learn how to code, I want to build it myself. There are even no-code tools, so you can start to put building blocks for apps and websites and things together without coding, skills. And so there is a
Wow,
lot of
I
opportunity
see.
there. There's a lot of opportunity there for women to begin to look at. You know what your problems are. You know, especially women's reproductive health. Sometimes, listen, I know women have complained that they've gone into their gynaes, they've asked questions, and they're not understanding what's going on with themselves, right? So then you are a good advocate for what to build and how to build it so that it supports
At
women.
that point you made just now, what seems to be the problem though?
On-
The Guyanese are not explaining
No,
everything?
I
or
think
feel as if-
sometimes it's just communication. Sometimes, look, they're overwhelmed. You go to a government hospital, there's so many people. The gynae has
limited time.
limited time. So they're not going to sit
Especially
there.
in a government hospital.
Especially in a government hospital, they're limited time and they cannot maybe take an hour to go through everything, explain what's going on with you, how things are going. And so we've got to support that. Like some of these apps are actually FDA approved, right? So it
Okay.
means that they've gone through testing from the US, and maybe our, is it, what would you call it? Or the FDA? Our FDA, right?
We have the Ghana Standards
The-
Authority. and
yes,
the
the
Food
Ghana
and
Standards
Drugs.
Authority should look into maybe certifying some of these apps to meet certain standards so that at least the women are confident that the information provided and things there will help support their health.
Fantastic. Where can people reach you if they want to have conversations?
Well, I am easily reachable on social media. So if you're on Twitter, I'm Ethel Kofi. If I'm on Instagram, I'm Ethel Kofi. On LinkedIn, I'm Ethel Kofi. It's easy to find.
All right.
And then the website is www.ethelkofi.com.
Okay,
Right.
fantastic. So we've been speaking with Ethel Kofi, who's been helping us to understand the space of Femtech and tech applications and tech opportunities that are relevant to women's menstrual health.